My name is Nicole Robinson, and I'm an associate partner with McKinsey & Company at the San Francisco office. I'm also one of the co-authors of this year's Women in the Workplace report, and I'm excited to share some of our findings from our most recent publication with you today. So this is the 8th year of Women in the Workplace, which is a joint research effort by McKinsey & Company and leanin.org, and it's the largest annual benchmark of women's progress in corporate America. This year, we collected information from 333 companies employing 12 million people. We surveyed more than 40,000 employees and conducted 34 interviews with women of diverse identities to round out our insights. What we've seen are that companies are facing two major pipeline challenges. It's been 2 years since the pandemic, and our data shows that there are some perennial issues at hand, but also some new findings that are causing some concern. First off, if we just take a look at the pipeline, we'll see that since we started this research 8 years ago, we have seen slow but steady progress in the representation of women in corporate America. This visual here shows that women across roles from entry level to C-suite have increased slightly as of the end of 2021. Although we see signs of continuing progress, there are some areas that still have room to improve. For example, we know that women of color are still drastically underrepresented and lose ground at each level. While there are 1 in 4 C-suite leaders as a woman, only 1 in 20 of those is a woman of color. When we look at the challenges in the pipeline, we see that the broken rung is still broken. This is a problem that's been existing in the pipeline research for years, and we're continuing to see this inequity. For every 100 men that are promoted to manager, only 87 women are promoted. And it's even worse for women of color, where only 82 women of color are promoted compared to 85 last year. So we've lost some ground in this area for women of color. We've seen some improvement for women's promotion rates overall. But what the problem here is that when men are promoted at faster rates than women lose ground at that first promotion to manager, and they can't catch up in the pipeline, continuing and exacerbating the inequality up to the C-suite level. What was a bit distressing in this year's research is that we now see women leaders leaving their companies at higher rates than ever before. We raised the alarm last year that we were at risk of losing senior women, and what we've seen in the data is that that's come true. As the headline states, one of the largest talent challenges facing companies this year is the great breakup. We see that women are demanding more from work, and they're leaving their companies in unprecedented numbers to get what they are looking for. Defined here as women leaders in senior managers and above roles, they're leaving at higher rates than we've ever seen. And the gap between voluntary attrition rates for men and women is the largest it's been since we started tracking this in 2017. This really is a deviation from past years when we did not see a significant difference in attrition rates between men and women. And while this 1.5% difference may not seem that large on first glance, when you actually play this forward, you actually see that for every 1 director that's promoted to a VP position in a company, 2 women directors are leaving, which stands the risk of really minimizing and eviscerating the amount of women that we have in those pipeline roles for senior leadership roles. We're seeing that women are demanding more from their workplaces and they're leaving to get it. But when we actually look at the full pipeline, not just women leaders, we see that this is also something that companies are at risk of losing young women over. When you look at the data and see the factors that have become the most important over the 2 years to women leaders, we see that young women are actually even increasingly more likely to say that these factors are important to them. So things like opportunity to advance, flexibility, company commitment to DEI and level of manager support, as well as company commitment to well-being, have outsized impact on young women's preferences and priorities within the workplace. This is important to remember that while young women are ambitious and they really crave the opportunity to advance, if they don't see women leaders in positions that are embodying the type of work that they want to have, we may see this attrition trend trickle down into the lower levels as well. And companies are at risk of seeing a full pipeline challenge, not just with women leaders. So what does this mean for companies? We have a lot of data in the report, and I encourage you to go read that for more detail about what is now considered table stakes that companies are offering. Things like benefits, health leave, maternity leave, other types of benefits that maybe 5-6 years ago were considered at the cutting edge. Those are now kind of the bare minimum that companies are expected to offer. We now see a series of leading practices that companies are establishing to have outsized advantage over other companies to really capture talent and create that top performing profile. But the most important thing to remember here is that the quality of the programs, whether they be table stakes or leading edge, really does matter. This has to be more than a check the box exercise, and for companies to really see that they are protecting the gains they've made and continuing to accelerate progress into the future, we'll want to make sure that their interventions are tailored against the data in their pipeline and what women are telling them that they really need. So thank you, and I hope you'll all enjoy a good read of the Women in the Workplace report. We're excited for all of the findings and a lot more insights that are included there, and happy to continue the discussion with all of you later.